Wow, look at that river. See all the debris going by. Blistering fast moving river, very high at flood stage. This is the Great Miami River over here. It's a wonderful day. Gotta love all this snow. This is a wild time of year in Ohio. But look at that river running. Look at all that stuff, debris and just flowing down the river. Just cleaning it all up. And you know what I think of when I see a site like that? I think of this is like DOGE. This is Elon Musk DOGE, sponsored by President Trump. He's cleaning up all the garbage in the river, just running downstream. You got a big flood coming here. This is the time of year in Ohio where lots of floods occur. And the river is way high, and it's carrying all kinds of garbage. All that garbage is going down the river somewhere, ultimately to the Gulf of Mexico, and it's going to build new ground on the peninsula in Louisiana eventually. But there's a massive amount. You probably, if you measure the amount of debris that's in that river, look at all that. If you measure the amount of debris that's in that river, it would be in the tons per minute going by here. So the river's very high, goes way over there. So really interesting to see. And it reminds me of what is happening right now with DOGE. All the liberals and Democrats, Marxists, crazy globalists, radical tyrants is the best way to explain who they are. The desecrators of Davos crowd. They're all upset that Elon Musk hasn't been elected to his position. No one elected Elon Musk, they say, and they're just really upset that DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, is inquiring into all their spending habits, all the money that they've been wasting all these years, and all the different hooks. We're all aware of it. We send our taxes in each year. In addition to flood season in Ohio, this is also the season where you do your taxes. And we do our taxes and you send it off, and everybody hopes they've overpaid a little bit and they get a little money back. Well, they never really question where all their money went. It's just like one of those things that gets taken out of your check and you don't realize how much you spent and where that money went, because it just gets robbed from you before you even get it. They take it right out of your salary check, your work check, when you get your paycheck from your employer. And nobody ever, you never know where it all goes. So millions of us go and spend this money, throw it at Washington. They blow all of it and then some, and then they go out and get debts. Where we're $35 trillion, $36 trillion in debt for mismanaging all that money. And then a lot of people are getting rich off the interest off our debt. So not only are we spending all this tax money and all this garbage and waste, but then we're going into debt to do more of it, and then making people rich off the interest. It's a really stupid enterprise, and we've needed to reform it for years. And it's been hiding behind the slowness of government, where everybody kind of looks at these administrations just like they did when in Munich, J.D. Vance just gave a nice speech about, hey, new sheriffs in town and get used to a lot of things different. And people were kind of like, hey. You got the established Beltway K Street group that's out there telling all these people, hey, presidents only last for 4 years. This administration will come and go. Hold your nose, and it'll all be over. And this is why I'm encouraging the GOP, whether you're talking about Vivek Ramaswamy running for governor of Ohio, or J.D. Vance, and all the efforts that they're doing. These are young people, not yet early in their 40s. So for the next 20 years, they have from 40 to 60 that they can work in the White House and continue on this MAGA agenda. And if everybody just kind of pulls together and takes their turn in the White House, whether it's Vivek Ramaswamy, whether it's one of the Trump sons or someone from the Trump family, or whether it's J.D. Vance, whoever it might be, could be Charlie Kirk, whoever ends up in a position to go and be in the executive branch, I would suggest everybody coordinate their time and their campaigns to continuing what we're building with Trump now. Because what's going on behind the scenes is just outweigh this whole DOGE thing. They don't really have anything that they can do. They can only point out the deficiencies of how government money is spent. They can't actually go and control congressional purse strings. So just wait these guys out, hold your nose, and it all go away. And just like people watch a flood and all the water going by, the water will eventually subside, and all the debris and garbage is in the water will go back to its normal state, and you won't have this fast-moving current carrying away all the garbage. Because eventually it's going to stop snowing, it's going to stop raining, and things will go back to normal. So just wait it out. That's what they're saying. What you want to do is keep the flood waters high. You want to keep the water raging. You want to keep the rain going. You want to keep the MAGA movement rolling. And you need a teamwork approach, I think, to the continuation of the White House. Who's going to be in the White House in 4 years? Who's going to be in the White House in 12 years? Who's going to keep running and voting and supporting each other? And I think there's room for everybody to kind of say, hey, let's get together and have a grand GOP strategy for the next 20 years to solidify these great things that Trump is giving us with executive orders, more executive orders than will ever be issued by a president, and then allowing Congress to be replaced by MAGA supporters so they can make all those changes permanent by controlling the purse strings. And ultimately, just like with this river flood and all the debris that's in it, the flood of information is coming from DOGE, because Elon Musk, richest guy in the world, has nothing to lose from the whole thing. He doesn't need money. He wants to do the right thing, and he happens to own the most popular news site media platform in the world, in X. And so you don't need to go through the gatekeepers and the public relations managers to get the message out. He just goes straight from the very smart whiz kids that are working DOGE and figuring out where all this government waste is, and then putting that out so everybody knows about it. And then you inspire future politics to do something about it, make changes permanent. So how powerful is all this information? Very powerful. And I can tell you, I've been a part of doing this kind of thing for many years in a smaller, but I think equally powerful way. We used to have a lot of really serious problems with tax levies, school levies in my community. And 15 years or so ago, I set out to start doing just like DOGE is doing now, but pointing out where all the waste is going, showing graphs and charts of how the money is being misappropriated. And other than one levy that they managed to get passed, a tax increase in 2013, only because some GOP people supported it, got behind it because they want to do it for the kids. But for the last 10 years, they haven't been able to go, well, longer than that, 12 years. They haven't been able to go to the public for a tax increase at all, because the public relations, because I'm going to go distribute it as a member of the media, I'm going to expose it all and show people what they're really voting for when they vote for a tax levy. And that's far more powerful than the short-term legislation on the matter. People knowing exactly what's going on, understanding where the floodwaters are coming from, and what's happening with the junk that's in the water, the floodwaters, how the money's being spent and misappropriated is far more powerful than just saying no to a school levy or voting at the booth. Giving people the power to understand what's happening to them is far more beneficial, which is the whole approach with DOGE. DOGE isn't about so much as going in and cutting departments and Elon Musk running those departments. Trump knows exactly what he's doing, and there's very few people better in the world than understanding public relations than President Trump. That's how he got to be president anyway. He understands how to flood the zone, literally flood, to carry away all that waste and debris that's out there. It's very fascinating to watch all that stuff come down the water there. President Trump understands that what he has to do is his administration has a very small window to do it in, and you got to flood the zone in order to get all this information out so people can make educated decisions, because the media hasn't been doing their jobs for years on this stuff. They've been rubber stamping a lot of this government waste because they get a little kickback from it. Media organizations they work for do, as we've seen the USAID, and it's been a disaster. And they've pretty much been using the revenue given by government as instead of having ad revenue, they're getting it straight from the government. So this corruption has been going on for a long time. But you can see this river's right here, and you see all the junk that's out in there in the water, and it's running all the way down. It goes down to the Cincinnati, where the Ohio River is, and then it catches the Mississippi, and then it ends up in the Gulf of America. Louisiana's peninsula gets built by all the debris that decays by the time it gets there and creates a landmass far away. But President Trump understands that you have to keep the flood rolling to carry all the debris away, because the damage isn't so much in the immediacy. It ends up being in the resolution of the flood and all the stuff that gets carried away with it. And right now, the flood of information is all that junk that's in the river there. That's the garbage, the corruption. What you do with it is another thing. But people understanding that's what's been hidden all along. Normally when this river isn't raging like this, and you don't have this flood of information, this flood of mass that's carrying away all this debris. The debris is hanging on the side of the river. It doesn't get seen. Nobody knows it's there. They're not paying attention. But you only notice it when you have a flood like this and the river's really high and it's carrying away all that junk. And that's exactly what's going on with DOGE. It's a flood of information being done on multiple departments, not just the Department of Education, Department of Defense, whatever government department that that's been created or is being monitored. The abuse of that, whether it's USAID, probably a lot of people didn't even know what that was, except for the first few months of 2025 with the Trump administration coming in and turning the spigot off of all that money is being funneled to really drive left-wing causes. It's really been a corrupt system. But the importance that DOGE has played isn't in a legislative way. And I have a lot of people who have been telling me, because they don't really understand how public relations work and how people work in these media environments. I have the firsthand knowledge of how it works because I've seen it in our local school system, where they just were, if I didn't do what I did, the media certainly wouldn't cover the stories. And because they haven't been able to pass a levy in over 12 years. It's kept a future tax increase off the books, because every time they have a teacher that abuses a kid, or every time they do some stupid thing, blow the money on some dumb thing, they build some dumb building, or even they buy an off-color paint to paint a hallway, I've been reporting it. And when people know what they're paying for, they don't necessarily like it. It exposes it in ways that normally gets concealed, just like the flood of the river. And you give them a lot of information. It may be too much for them to deal with at that moment, but eventually it catches up. And it might be too much information to process every day, but people think about it in increments, and over the course of days and weeks and months and years, they untangle the web. And that part of this scam is the concealment of that web, because it's too much information for people to get their minds around. And until someone like Elon Musk came along and bought up Twitter, turned it to X, and then helped get behind President Trump's re-election, and then Trump put him in charge of, hey, why don't you do some analysis and see where all the government waste is? Because our own people in the government aren't doing it, because they're the ones benefiting. So let's have an independent audit, and let's go see where they're spending all this money, and give it straight to the people and let them decide how they want to run their government, which is exactly what's happening. And that's why everybody's so mad at Elon Musk. He doesn't have to be an elected official. He has to be appointed and given by an elected official to go do a job that President Trump ran on. That's go find out how to spend better the money that people are giving them. And that's what DOGE is doing. And the results are people are not happy with what they're seeing, which wasn't not a big surprise, but yet that's exactly what's happening. So DOGE, great thing, great to see happening. Great that Elon Musk is willing to do it and bring in all these sharp young minds that are able to go do huge amounts of data analysis to find out how efficient things are. Because, we're going to find out we have way too much employment. There's way too many people doing far too little, and they cost way too much. And ultimately, we're paying for all that, and it's not doing us a bit of good. It's just creating a government that thinks it's superior and can run us with the money we've given them. And that's not how it's supposed to be. And so the future of that, it won't happen in days, the changes. It won't be that the Trump administration can just go in based on what DOGE says and slash all this spending, and so we can get our trillions of dollars of debt back under control. It'll happen over time, and it will be Congress that does it. And the people who run for Congress are going to be those who work with that information that's been given by DOGE and run on a platform that people elect them into, and then put them into Congress so they can make these changes permanent changes to the way spending is allocated. And the purse strings of open warfare that have been so conducive to the villainy we've seen on K Street lobbyists, for instance, is coming to an end, because now people have information they didn't have before, and it's coming at them at a pace that's mind-boggling, like a flood, like we just saw at the river. It's a flood of information, but ultimately it's cleaning up all the junk that was hidden all along, and our world and country is going to be a whole lot better because of it, and that's exciting. It's Rich Hoffman here. Share, subscribe, make tomorrow a better day. If you ever read my book, The Gunfighter's Guide to Business, I think you'll love it. Anyway, have a good day. See you later.